Very recently, I have watched the latest and possibly last Mission Impossible film, The Final Reckoning. I have grown to appreciate this series within the last 3 years. The first film by Brian De Palma is a well crafted spy thriller with great tension and iconic imagery. Mission Impossible 2 by John Woo is an underappreciated over the top action film that oozes with unabashed flair and filmmaking. And the past two films of the series, Fallout and Dead Reckoning, were great spectacle driven action films with a memorable cast of characters. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning is the ultimate conclusion of the Entity AI storyline that was introduced in Dead Reckoning. The stakes has never been higher as Ethan Hunt and his loyal team must stop an AI known as the Entity from enacting a global nuclear holocaust. With one final chance given from the President of the United States, Ethan must face his greatest challenge yet as the fate of the planet rests on his and his team's shoulders. With the subtitle of Final Reckoning, one can easily assume that Tom Cruise and Skydance Media put all their effort into delivering a worthy final act for the Mission Impossible series. And I am happy to report that, in spite of the pandemic and writer's strike that occurred between this film and the previous, The Final Reckoning delivered on its dramatic title. With a runtime of 169 minutes, the film captured my attention and time flew by quickly. Every actor and actress gave their best performances, and Cruise delivered on one upping the extreme stunt work that only he can provide. And also major critic to Ving Rhames, though he unfortunately could not be in the entire film like previous entries, he remained a strong emotional core of the film's story. And as a personal positive, I am very glad that Pawn Clementif returned as the beautiful but deadly Paris, who I have no shame in admitting that I am smitten with her on screen presence and looks. Simon Pegg as Benji remains a great comedic relief, though due to the tone of the film, the comedy that is there is brief and actually used as proper relief from the film's heavy story. Isai Morales as Gabriel was a great foil for Ethan, acting as a physical antagonist for Ethan to fight, since you can't really punch or shoot an AI being. And lastly, Haley Atwell as the professional thief Grace has great on screen chemistry with Cruz and is another emotional core of the film. Switching gears, there is one aspect of the film that I found to be annoying but not detrimental to the overall experience. The first act is repetitive and explains to the audience the risks and stakes of the film's conflict. There are many scenes with characters reiterating who and what the entity is and why it's important. I believe the screenwriters did this in order for every type of audience member to understand the conflict of the story. On one hand, a screenplay shouldn't need to explain its own premise repeatedly in order for the viewer to understand. That's basic storytelling. On the other hand, when making a film for mass appeal on an international level, you do need to make it loud and clear what's going on in your story. It's a necessary evil for a blockbuster film like this in order to have a greater chance of financial success. Thankfully, after the first act, the film's storytelling significantly improves. Another observation I noticed is the lack of scenes with actual fighting. In comparison with Fallout and Dead Reckoning, this MI film scales back on gunfights and hand to hand fighting to focus primarily on two key scenes: the submarine dive and the propeller plane fight. The most you'll get in regards to actual combat will be the simultaneous fight scenes that occur prior to Ethan's Arctic water dive. And my last observation is the missed opportunity of the entity's influence on the human population. The opening exposition explains that the entity is causing worldwide pandemonium due to misinformation. As a result, a death cult was formed by people who wish to uphold the entity's plan for complete human annihilation. On paper, this sounds like it will be a major force in the film, but in reality, this plot point is only used in two scenes. In one scene to get Ethan to have a one-on-one fight, and in another scene to serve as a dramatic reveal during one of the handful of scenes with the president and her cabinet. You could easily argue that these are unnecessary scenes from a pure logic standpoint, as they don't really contribute directly to the conflict, but as though these scenes do not distract the story nor lessen it. The film should have better conveyed the influence of the entity with the general population in order for the audience to understand how this AI has already begun its plan for destruction. But with the film focusing on Ethan, his team, and the literal leaders of the United States, we never get to see the chaotic environment the AI has cultivated. It truly is a missed opportunity. The good stuff that is there in the film is really good. The submarine dive at the midpoint of the film will make anyone squirm, especially if you have a fear of tight spaces and drowning. Cruz at his age is putting his body through the ultimate stress test, and he does not disappoint. And the climax of the film is classic Mission Impossible, with Ethan high in the sky hanging to dear life on a propeller plane. The climax may not have any explosions or a huge body count, but much like the first film, the tension and excitement comes from the characters trying to accomplish their mission down to the last second, as any mistake would instantly result in failure. Overall, what writing flaws that are present in the final film are overshadowed by great acting, impressive stunts, and an emotional and physically demanding story for our heroes to overcome. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning is a worthy conclusion to the story of Ethan Hunt. And just like its namesake, after 29 years of Mission Impossible movies, Tom Cruise and the various directors, writers, and actors over the years did the impossible in providing quality entertainment throughout all 8 movies. Don't wait for this to be on streaming. Go out and watch it in theaters. You won't regret it. This is Hack. Sign off.